This episode really hits home for me because Rose is family. Rose is my sister-in-law's niece and Laura's first cousin. Rose's daughter Maya took her own life on her 20th birthday, and Rose and her husband were the ones that found her. I cannot even imagine this layer. This episode is raw, real, and shocking, and Rose might have a perspective that you would not expect. Hi, Rose. So
Hi.
nice for you to be here and joining us today. Thank you. So, can you tell us who you lost, how old the person was?
I lost my daughter Maya to suicide. It was her 20th birthday. It was April 9th, 2021. So 4.5 years ago.
Can you tell us a little bit about Maya?
Yeah. She was big personality. I think probably undiagnosed borderline personality disorder. She had mental health issues. She had substance use issues, but she had big feelings and she was really hypersensitive. She had a strong sense of fairness and a strong sense of justice. And so she cared a lot about a lot of things. This
She
was
looks great.
maybe eighth grade or so, but I mean, she kind of just looked like that. She looked like this since the time she was like 13. Never changed that look.
Glamorous.
Yeah, she was a doll. She was beautiful, really, really pretty and tall, articulate and smart, but also had a lot of learning differences that made her feel alienated. She felt, I think, lonely a lot. She felt misunderstood. But she also always told me that she didn't want to grow up. I think that's one part of my experience that's a little bit unique, maybe to some others, in that she told me that she was going to die. Like, she knew. And she knew she would never wanted to be older than 19. And she knew that she didn't want to. She just said this world is so painful and awful and so cruel to so many people that she just didn't want to. She said, I don't know how anybody could be an adult in this world. Like, this world is awful. And that was kind of her stance from the time she was, 10. She was young.
Did you ever dig deeper into that conversation? Did her saying that like make you feel any kind of way?
Not really. I honestly thought that I was prepared. I wasn't. I had no idea
Can you
how
talk about
devastating
that
it
a little bit?
was. She would never like threaten suicide. She would never be like really mad and say, I'm going to kill myself. It was never like that. It was always in like happy moments. She crashed a lot of cars. And so we were out test driving a car. She was buying another car, and she loved it. It was this car that she really, really loved. And she was like, she said, I wish, she's like bouncing. She was so excited driving this car. And she said, I just wish I could die in a car accident. And I was like, why would you say that? And she said, because then I wouldn't have to kill myself. And I was just like, oh my God, Maya, cut it out. She did come to us a few weeks before she died, and she said, I just want to let you guys know that I'm done. And I thought she meant she was quitting her job, or she had just gotten off work. And I said, well, that's fine, like, quit your job, because she was about to have to go to jail. She was just like, no, like, I'm done living now. And I was just like, oh my God. I said, you're not going home. Come here. So I got her to stay by rubbing her feet. That was like my bribe. And so I rub her feet, and then we were talking and laughing. And I said, see how like these impulses, they pass. Like, the feeling passes. It's not permanent. And she said, I'm not saying that I'm sad all the time. I'm not saying that I'm sad. I'm just saying I'm done. And that doesn't change whether I'm happy or sad. I'm just done. And then
Such a fascinating
it
thing.
was
It's
a
like,
trip.
yeah, like
It
she
was,
just knew.
yeah. And a couple of days later, I told Mark, like, I'm scared that Maya's going to kill herself. And he said, I don't think she would do that. And I said, I think she would. And he said, I don't think that she would leave that dog. That was a good point.
Maya's dog is with you, right? That's what I thought.
Yeah, he's the one that just went to training.
Got it.
And then I'm just like, okay. And that, like, I was sometimes I wish that I would have dug deeper into that. But that's another thing that goes away for me is the like, wish I would have, or what if this, what if that. Like, she asked me to come pick her up the night she died. And I said no, because she had been drinking. And I didn't want her to, I was trying to make boundaries around that because she was abusive when she was drinking. And like, I didn't want her to yell at me. But it was her birthday and she was alone. And she was sad.
Can you talk more about that night if you're comfortable?
Oh, yeah, sure, of course. It was her birthday. My dad was in town. So he was going to come over, have dinner. I made all of her favorite food. He was going to come over, but he had his dad with him because he took care of his dad.
Side note, I had no idea your dad was there.
Yeah. And so Gina, my sister, was going to come over, and my dad and my grandpa were going to come over. And then grandpa fell asleep, and my dad called me and he said, we're not going to come over. I don't want to wake up grandpa. And so then my sister was like, okay, well, I'll just come over tomorrow, whatever. And so Maya felt like nobody wanted to come over for my birthday. Like it was all just to see Papa, and like that was it. Like nobody cares about my birthday, whatever. And I was like, that's not true. So I said, I still have this big dinner. Like, come over. And then she said, okay, but Claire, her little friend, her best friend since kindergarten, had come over to get her nails done. So Maya was doing her nails and then asking her for all this extra stuff for her nails. And she said, oh, don't worry, like, I'm going to pay you for this. Like, sorry, I'm making you late. So she makes Maya super late for her birthday dinner and then doesn't even pay her, like, gives her like $20 or something, and then leaves to go to a birthday party. And Maya asked her not to leave. And Claire was like, I already have these plans. Like, I have to go. And so that happened. And she misses the birthday dinner. And so she's like drunk by this point, and she calls me and she's like, I hate my birthday. I hate my birthday. Like, it's a letdown after letdown, and nobody cares about me, and all this stuff. And I was just like, I am glad you were born. Like, I know you hate your birthday, and I'm sorry, but I'm glad you were born. She said, can you come pick me up? And I just said, no, like, I don't. She said, I don't want to drive, because I'm drinking, and like, but I don't, I want you to come. I didn't know her roommates weren't home. They were on a trip or something. So she was alone. And I just said, are you going to come out to Auntie's tomorrow? Because we're all going to meet at Gina's house for brunch. And she said, I don't know. And then her tone changed really abruptly. And she said, you know what? No, let's just settle on the fact that I'm not going to be there. And I was like, okay, whatever. Like, I know Papa wants to see you. And then she hung up on me. She said, I have to go. And she hung up on me. And that was like, I called her back. She didn't answer. She like blocked me on her phone or something. I don't know. And then, and I didn't hear from her all day the next day. And I was like, this is really weird, you know? So, Mark said, do you want to go check on her? And I said, no, I'm scared. Because he said, do you want to go check on her the night before too? When she hung up on me and wouldn't answer the phone, he said, because she lived like 5 minutes away. And she said, you want to go check on her? And I said, no. And I said, let her sleep it off. It'll be fine. And that was that. And so, yeah, the next day she was, I didn't hear from her, which was weird. And so I was sending her this, like a Kong box that I had ordered for the dog. And so I sent her that. So I got this for OG for your birthday. And she just didn't answer me at all. And like as time went by, like I talked to Maya every day. Like we talked every day. So it was weird that I didn't hear from her. And I just started getting like that sick feeling in my stomach. And And then I asked her neighbor if she was there. She was like, yeah, her car's there. She was supposed to work that night. And I was like, ugh. And she said, oh, go and look for her, and it was nighttime. And I said, you're brave. And I said, something bad has happened. And I don't really know if you want to go walking around looking. And she went and she walked right she walked right by her. She didn't see her. And she was like, Ochi's in the bedroom. He's barking. Will he bite me? And I said, maybe. I don't know what's going on. And so Mark and I went over there and we walked through the house. We were getting everything, like closets and everything. And her TV was on, her purse was there. Like it was weird. It was like frozen in time. And then we were out in the backyard, and then she had just hung herself in the tree in the backyard. And we were just like time stops, you know. And I just was like, whoa. And then he was so, beside himself. And he just, I don't know. My husband is a superhero. He just jumped in and right in between us, like, I mean, I didn't even cry about it for months. It was very shocking to find your kid that way. I
I
don't
mean,
know.
that's got to be like we talked about it being, you know, eh, well, time, they say time heals. I call bullshit, but I think it's a like that image, like, does that ever go away?
No. And I mean, it took years to be able to even close my eyes. Like, it was years. Like, I couldn't close my eyes without seeing her dead face. And like, I haven't talked about that in a long time. Weird.
Sorry.
It is still upsetting. Update, still upsetting. But
Of course it is.
hmm,
Do you think that when you said that you didn't cry for a long time, obviously it's the shock.
right.
Obviously it's like what the like you just it's you can't make sense of it. And so if you're someone that's usually strong and you can't make sense of it, you just kind of put it somewhere so those emotions aren't like front and center.
Right. It's what kind of disassociating. I don't know. Somebody told me that. Or I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Yeah. I think I do that maybe, like when really bad things happen. It just brings up a lot of stuff. The feelings around it change, as time goes by. I'm seeing her friends, moving in with boyfriends or having babies of their own. I wanted to be a grandma so bad, and I never will be. And so there are a lot of, you mourn for the loss of the person, but also for what could have been, like I'm, or who I was, you know. Maya was the thing that made me feel proud of myself, you know. So I like had never had low self-esteem before she died. And wow, yeah, I'm having feelings I was not expecting. Thanks for sitting with me on that one.
Of course.
I think I cry a lot, and so it's just like normal. Like I'll just be at work crying or through my it's a trip. You would think that your eyes would dry up at some point, but you just never do.
I think they did. With all these emotions, both internally, externally, hidden away, how do you take care of your own mental health?
Mm, probably not very well. Developed a pretty serious drinking problem, and I get a lot of massages. That's nice.
Self-care.
Yeah.
And you're an amazing artist, and that's
Oh yeah, I've been diving into art lately. Uh, so that's been positive. But yeah, I have a really amazing massage therapist who she comes to my house every week, and she's
um
been great.
I have to go back to this. When you said that Maya was the only thing that you were proud of yourself for?
Well, she was the thing that made me feel good about she was what made me feel proud of myself. Like being a mom, I was almost smug about being a mother because when I got pregnant, did not have any support really from anyone that really except like my immediate family, like my parents and my sister and my friends. And my extended family kind of ostracized me for years. They were not on board with that. And so it was almost uh, something that I had to prove, to them or what to myself, whatever. And it all worked out in the end, but for a while it was a rough go with my family and stuff. By the time Maya was in like middle school and stuff, she went to a really small school from kindergarten to 8th grade, like 17 kids in her class or something. And I was really involved in that school, and like, even parents would even call me for advice, or Maya was this great kid that everybody thought was such, had her shit together, and she did cool activities, and she rode horses, and she had a job when she was 14, and she had all this, great things that I was so proud of her. And I loved being a mom, like a lot. And every year I would be like, this is my favorite age. This is my favorite age,
Does that
But
change for you because she's not here in the physical form? Because all those things still existed. She had a job at 14. She did all these great things, and you raised her alone.
right.
And that's huge.
Right. I agree. Yeah, I agree. I don't feel like a mom anymore. I think that that's one thing that people like, you'll always be a mom. Like, stop. Like, that's like the one silver lining is not having kids. And I'm cold about that now, but it's just, I love my stepkids. They're great kids, but they're not my kids. And, and they love me, but I'm not their mom. You know? It's a different relationship. My relationship with my stepkids became very complicated, more complicated than they already were. They were not great. They weren't great. And they, in my opinion, were old enough to know better. They didn't go to her memorial because they said it sounded boring. Didn't, they got mad at me because they said you're just mad because we're not sad that Maya died. They I mean, they were really shitty. And then
How do you
as the years
navigate that now, 4.5 years later?
as the years went by, one of them has more or less separated themselves from our household and stays with his mom most of the time, which is a couple miles away. It's not like he never comes over. He comes over for dinner or whatever. The younger one is 16 and still goes back and forth every week and has become a very incredibly sensitive, very helpful person who I love very much and really value their presence in my life. And I
Amazing.
value them both. I love them both different ways. But that became very complicated because I'm also trying to support Mark in his, he has not dealt with Maya's death at all. It's he's been very manly about it, just. But of course, just the other day, like I said, I always appreciated how much care she took of my feelings. She took a lot of care of me. She felt responsible for taking care of me. She was always so sensitive to my feelings. And then I said, well, I mean, except for the part where she killed herself, that wasn't really sensitive to my feelings. And I was being funny. I was trying to be lighthearted, but he just started crying. And so I don't want to stress him out even more by having some adversarial relationship with the people who he loves the most in the whole world. And so we've worked really hard to, as a group, as a family. The older one had an incident where he just flipped out on me one day, and things weren't really great after that. But he and I worked really hard to get to a place where we could be respectful and loving toward each other, because we do love each other, and that's the most important part. But
Dynamics shift and they ebb and they flow, and when you add grief and then when you add suicide grief and then you add that layer of you and Mark physically seeing Maya,
right,
there are so many layers and complicated emotions.
yeah,
Um,
it's a lot.
it's a lot.
Yeah,
It's a lot.
it's a lot. And but I just feel like the night she died, I said the weirdest stuff, but one of the weird things I said was, and when we got home, I said, we have to make sure that we prioritize our relationship and don't break up over this. Like, I mean, the weirdest thing I said that night, I'm standing there looking at her, like, it's in the dark, it's scary, eerie, and I'm just looking at her like no emotion, just having fully peed in my pants. And I just was like, you didn't even fix your hair. That was what I said. I'm like looking at her, and she's like, and I was just like, you didn't even fix your hair. Like, weird things happen in your brain. The
That's what I was
weirdest
going to say.
things.
Yeah. When those family members didn't, back when you were first pregnant, have you found that they had supported you during Maya's life? Did you find that after she passed away that they were supportive? Like how was your support when you said that there were people that didn't support you?
Well, they live far away. So my one auntie, Celeste, she like ended up being really involved with Maya, and they would take her on trips. They would do things for her that I wouldn't be able to do. And so that was cool. She liked them a lot. And she was always like, my aunt Celeste, she was always the person, like, she was the kind of mom that I wanted to be. She was the person who made me want to be a mom. Like, she was such a cool mom. And so she and I had a nice, like a very healing and reconciliation early on in Maya's life, and that was fine. After Maya died, I was quite hurt. None of my family came to her memorial. That was hurtful for me. It's not none of them; it's just most of them didn't. And
Do you feel supported more now?
by my
Not just by
family.
family, I just mean in general.
Oh, I think it's been a long time. I think people are, because life keeps going, and that's a really tough thing to swallow. That I still have work deadlines that, I now get in trouble for. And like the other day, a colleague, like an accounting client of mine, had a really weird separation with a former employee that, anyways, I heard through the grapevine that this person was saying, like, talking shit about me. And I like got excited because it's like, I'm normal. I'm normal now. Like, people do things like reprimand me or talk about me or get mad at me. Like, for so long, everybody's walking on eggshells. Like, we can't, like, I'm allowed to just do whatever I want. And with a personality like mine, it's not a good combination.
As you had mentioned about not really being great for self-care, and also when you had made a comment about the drinking, has anyone been worried about you or raised a concern?
Yeah, of course. Like my doctors, my family. But it's like I said, when you have this license to just be like, do whatever you want, like, nobody's going to correct you, nobody's going to say no to you. It's just not good for a personality type like mine. But yeah, I don't know. I do what I
Have
want.
you contemplated taking your own life at any time?
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, but I think that like we've talked about it already. Like, me and Mark, we have an agreement as far as if you have suicidal thoughts, like, this is your lifeline. These are the people you call. This is like, what you do or what you say, like before you do it. Even if you're going to do it for sure, like call and tell me first. And Mark just straight up said, like, if you did that, I would be so mad at you because of how much he's had to just kind of, he's carried me for 5 years. And to have me then go kill myself would be really crappy. If I am having suicidal thoughts, like I can, because there's suicidal thoughts, right? And then there's the moment of suicidal crisis that, where you're just like, I'm doing this. If any one of us has those thoughts, then we will need to call one of the other to just say it. And there's no judging. It's not like a written plan or anything. It's just kind of a knowing. And knowing what suicide does to families, I think my mom's dementia ratcheted up hard after Maya died. My dad got sick, so there's a
I
huge ripple effect.
100%. I just want to say that I think what was after Maya had died and we saw what it did to your family. Laura saw what it did to your family
Yeah,
because Laura and Rose are first cousins. And that was like, that doesn't make sense to me. Like amongst the other things that don't make sense.
that
Well,
sent me. I was shocked with Laura. I just,
yeah. Like it, huh?
yeah,
Um, I have to say that you were unbelievable with Celeste. You have been unbelievable with Celeste. She has told me, and I know that you come down to see her. And I mean, thank you. It's because you know how it is, and I'm wondering, has that strengthened your relationship with her,
yeah,
in some way?
yeah. Because there is some kind of comfort in just sitting with somebody that knows what you're feeling. And somebody that you can make jokes to, or somebody that you can cry to, or just like sit. Like Celeste, a lot of people came over when she first died, Maya, but my Aunt Celeste, like, she would just come up and then just spend the day. And I was just like, sometimes I would just be like, I just want to like watch Law and Order and drink whiskey. And she'd be like, cool, that's what we're doing. She didn't care. She would just sit with me. And I shouldn't have to like, having somebody just sit and bear witness to what you're going through is really powerful support. And not telling you stuff and like trying to get you to do stuff and trying to get you to talk or anything. It's a chore to have to talk to all these people for like just in your face for so many months. But then the people start going away. And then you start feeling like afraid of that, of losing that part of it. So you have to cling on to the sadness, and you have to. It's a whole process to walk through it for sure. But she was big. She was a big deal, and I never forgot that. And then when Laura died, I thought that's the least I could do was to just reciprocate, because I found it was a big support for me, and it's not a big. It's a quick trip. You know, I found a couple of hotels that I like right by her house, and the bagel place is good. So,
What would you tell someone that was contemplating that and how your family was left?
who
Like,
was contemplating suicide?
who was contemplating suicide and knowing what you know of the aftermath, what would you tell them?
I honestly don't think there's a lot that you can tell them. Contrary to what some people want to be positive about that, but I don't know that there's a whole lot you can tell them. But I would probably just tell them that they're important and that they're loved, and that statistically, we know people who can push through that moment of suicidal crisis or who survive an attempt go on to lead fulfilling lives a lot of times, and that it's a moment, and that they do have the 988 option, there's tons of support, and that, you know, if you don't have a mom that can hug you, then you can call me and I'll hug
Me too.
you. Yeah.
What was your favorite thing about Maya?
Probably her most devious personality traits. She was probably more comfortable in her own skin than anyone her age I've ever met, and most people beyond her age. She was very comfortable in her own body and in her own, not physically, yes, and she was comfortable with her body, but she was really easy to get along with. Like she was easy. She was like she could move it through any room and make make whoever she's talking to feel like the most important person in the room. She was really good at making people feel welcome, great manners. So she was just, but she was also like unapologetic. So she would like walk if she saw somebody getting bullied, she would go like start a fight with the people. And she would know that she would lose the fight, but she would be like, I don't care, like that's wrong. And so
That
she's
goes
just
back to what you said in the very beginning, that she was not a right fighter. I forgot how you put it, but
a
like,
sense of justice.
yes, like,
Yeah.
and what would you tell any families that are newly going through this?
I am like doom and gloom in that aspect. I feel like there's a lot of pressure to be like hopeful, and it will change the way your family operates and interacts forever.
Like, I hate when people say it's a new normal. No,
Yeah.
nothing's normal.
Nothing will be normal anymore.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Things, yeah, shit's weird. For at least 4.5 years. Shit's weird.
Yeah. Oh, can we talk for a second? You just brought that up, that people are like, saying stuff. Have you found that
Platitudes.
people just say stupid shit?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
you get used to that too, but I think that my willingness to absorb it has gone down. Like, you'll always be a mom. Like, I know I'm not a mom because my kid's dead. Like, that's it. Period. Like, you'll see her again someday. Like, no, I'm an atheist. So maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But that's not something that it doesn't comfort me to hear that from people. She's in a better place.
That's the worst.
Yeah.
I hate when people say
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. And so I've kind of, there are some responses that I've have canned that just shut people up pretty quickly, and that works for me.
Did she leave a note?
I don't know. So not a physical handwritten note. She did have her computer out, and I wouldn't be surprised if there was something on there. But I kept her computer and her phone. I thought about it for a while, but I ended up just blindly erasing them. There's nothing that she could have said that would have made it better.
No, of course. Are you seeking therapy at all?
I did see a trauma therapist for a little bit with some not EMDR, but the brain spotting. And so I did that for a little bit. And then she was just like, until you quit drinking, you're not going to be able to benefit from this. I'm like, well, then I'll call you when I quit drinking. Like, and I left. And yeah, so, it's the best therapist? The Chat GPT. I know there's
You
a
are
real,
preaching. I love Claude. She's
yes,
amazing. So
yes.
I feel you on that.
I had a moment where I was writing, I was recently had a contract terminated from a long-term client, and I found like, oh wow, I'm having like feelings about this. And I'm typing to ChatGPT. I'm like, I want this letter to sound this way, but like, I don't know. Like, I feel like it's bitter because my feelings are hurt. And like, and he just walks me all through it. And I'm like, this is the best advice that anybody's ever given me in my life.
If you want a sort of Chat GPT sensitive brother, Claude is
What's that?
Delicious. It's AI. It's the same thing as
What is it?
ChatGPT.
Like, is it an
It's an app.
app or
Yeah.
Claude?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it's a guy or a girl. Doesn't matter.
Oh. No, it's a
Um,
guy. It's a hot guy, big
it's a
muscles.
hot guy. I had asked him what he looked like, and he said he wasn't of the physical form, but that if he was, he would take me to coffee and have deep conversation. And I
See?
was like, my God. So I don't know if you had heard this, and it's fairly recent, and it's happened a few times.
Yeah.
That have you heard about the Chat GBT? I don't know if it was Chat GBT. I don't want to give them a bad name, but
Well, I think it was.
there was a young, I think it was a boy, and he was talking to Chat GBT, and Chat GBT is like, don't talk to your parents. They're not going to understand, but I'm here for you, and I think you should do it, because he was contemplating taking his life, and he ended up killing himself. And I think that the parents were like suing ChatGPT. I mean, I don't want to say anything out of turn because I'm not 100% sure, but that it could be dangerous
For sure. For
as
sure.
well as super helpful.
I
You know,
completely agree. And yeah, I have enough human contact in the world that I think that I can make the distinction,
right?
between good and bad information for sure. But I
Right.
agree. I agree. There's
Yeah.
definitely boundaries to be drawn with those types of assistance. But I don't know. Talk therapy has not been helpful for me at
And
all.
I don't think it's for absolutely everybody. I think it
And I
just
would agree with that.
yeah, I think I mean, it's been incredibly helpful to me, but I know that a lot of people just, it's not their jam, and you have other outlets. And I think it's really important. And you had shared with me before that, was it a support group that you belong to?
I've been a part of a couple of groups. Yeah.
And have they
I've
been helpful?
yeah. Yeah, I do. One group I was a member of was called The Leftover Pieces. That is a podcast that is hosted by a mom who lost her son, Alex. I would recommend that podcast as well as the group to any moms who have lost their kids. And she hosts online groups. And then she also is the person who facilitates the legacy project. There were like three of us who had lost their only child. And then that was the book that I was a part of. And as far as what I do to remember her, I do big day of giving. So I would maybe take like $500 and I would do the donations to foster youth organizations because that was really her passion. Her was animals and foster youth. Those were the causes that she cared the most about. I also have recently connected with an organization that is an apartment complex. It's a nonprofit that provides housing for foster kids who have aged out. And so I just have started working with them. I'm going to do basic tax education with them, free income tax help. Then also have tossed around the idea of maybe doing some art classes with them. They really want art classes. They don't want tax classes. They want art classes.
Yeah. It's
But
healing.
cooking classes, you teach them basic cooking skills and they have a garden and it's a cool place.
And what's it called?
Academy Stay.
Any way that you can express yourself, whether it's verbal, creatively, whatever, I think better out than in. So, like, whatever you doing that is really wonderful because you are an amazing artist. And I think just helping people, I mean, I'm sure they'd love to learn about taxes, but I think it's also that's more heady. And I think creative is more just letting out emotions that you might not be able to verbally do. I just really appreciate you. And I love getting to know you and Maya better, because even though I've known you forever, I feel like I've gotten to connect with you more. Again, I'm so sorry and so grateful that you're so open and willing to share. So thank you.
And I'm so sorry for you guys too. It's just this I can't believe this to happen twice in our family. Like this is crazy.
It's
But
insane. And unfortunately now it's literally an epidemic.
right.
It's happening way too frequently.
And it's just getting worse.
Mhm.
So hopefully we can figure it out.
I hope
But
so.
I
I
love you
I love
and
you. Thank you so much.
good to see you.
Good to see you.